As someone who draws a big audience yourself,
Mhm.
why do you think it is that Nick Fuentes has a following with the kinds of things that he says continuously about Jews?
You know, number one, because so many people have said not to listen to him. And they've said that, he is the equivalent of the Antichrist. And again, when you point at something, you are directing attention to it. And secondly, because he's become a meme, he is huge on social media. People are not watching his show in its entirety. We are seeing clips of him. They're seeing the jokes that he made. I saw a thread on X recently, and it was a person who is Jewish, I actually believe lives in Israel, is a Zionist, and said, I sat down and I watched a Nick Fuentes stream in its entirety. And he was like, I am so embarrassed to say that I laughed. He's like, he's a good communicator, he's funny, and I obviously disagree with a lot of the things that he says, and it goes against my, my religion and my beliefs as a Zionist, whatever it is. But he said, but I kind of got it because he's funny. And so I think a lot of people are not actually watching his show in its entirety, but they are consuming his memes and the TikToks that people make of him. And that is incredibly, incredibly powerful when it comes to my generation. Because if you can get social media, if you can bring people in through comedy and relatability, that will speak to them. And I think that's the part that a lot of conservatives have not been able to keep up with.
And when Ted Cruz says, this senator who had this exchange with you says, now is a time for choosing. Either you call out this guy or you're a coward and you're complicit. Is he right at all?
I think that as Americans, you should be allowed to listen to whoever you want to listen to. I don't think that I need to sit here and condemn anyone either way. There are things that Nick says that I don't agree with. There are things that Ted Cruz says that I don't agree with. I'm not going to sit here and condemn either of them. I don't know if either of them actually like me. Nick has said that he does not like me at certain times and then he loves me. I was in a movie with Ted Cruz and we have had conversations and then he calls me an angry woman on X. Like I don't take it personally. I'm not concerned. I'm not going to condemn anyone. And I don't think that we should be sitting here telling people what they need to believe or who they need to condemn. We should be focused on positive solutions, on driving a positive future for Gen Z. We're about to be the hugest, most significant voting bloc. And you need to get Gen Z and hold.
She's finally allowed to have an opinion. She could finally speak her mind without the fear of getting in trouble, just like Candace did. So ever since she left the Daily Wire, she's her own boss. She could share her own opinions. So with that being said, I kind of agree with her. They're trying so hard to paint Nick as such a bad guy. And I found it interesting that she did mention that she saw clips on X. Anyone who's on X, is the Wild Wild West is crazy. It's different from Facebook and Instagram and other platforms because Nick is actually banned on those. You try to upload some clips of him on those websites, you'll get automatically banned. They'll take down the content and clips that you post. So I think it's kind of interesting how Brett says she's on X, she's tapped in, So that tells us that if she's on X, anyone's on X, that Nick it's like Nick's everywhere. You cannot get away. Even recently, I think Ty Dolla $ign was on a stream and he even said that he saw the clips of Nick. So anyone who's on Twitter, you've seen Nick clips. And for the most part, look, I think people gotta understand and just get this into your brain. Look, we're just regular people. We work regular jobs. We have our own problems we gotta worry about. If we just see a clip, it may be funny. It's funny. We go about our days, but we're not gonna sit there, be mad, get emotional about what we saw. Most of the clips that we do see is either one or two things. It's funny or interesting. And I think a lot of people can relate. We don't see anything like that's really racist or hatred. I know there's a lot of clips that people try to clip out of context and use it to demonize this guy. But in my opinion, I've watched a few streams only because I was curious of who this guy was and, doing the background. A lot of people say they're doing, I did my research on this guy. No, you didn't. You Googled the man. All you did was Google, you read the first couple sentences of something, and you have a biased opinion based on your favorite commentator, influencer, whatever the case may be. But if you actually watch a couple of these streams, bro's not hateful. And I think we've came to this place where, and I've said this before, even on Twitter, that you guys have censored Nick so hard. You've banned him on platforms. You refuse to debate him. Now, I'm not a big fan of like Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, or a lot of these guys, these conservative powerhouse media. I like their messages. I agree with them for the most part. But the one thing I disagree with them is the fact that of them trying to sweep a problem under the rug when it comes to this Nick. For them, it's their Nick problem. It was even revealed in those text messages that Charlie said, yo, we've been trying to fight this guy for 6 years. He's an enemy. Now it became a big old domino effect snowball, because if you abandon something, you make it forbidden. It's like forbidden fruit. Everybody wants to hear this guy out. And you guys told us he's evil. You guys told us he's racist and hateful. He's a bigot. You pounded so hard without debating him and stuff like that. People went to go look at this guy's content, listen it in full context, and that's why people are big fans of this guy. I think, honestly, look, if I'm one of Ben Shapiro's advisors or anything like that, I would have told him, hey, bro, you should just debate this guy, because if you don't, perspective is everything. You may not agree with me. Perspective is everything. You just appear like a coward to the masses. People just look at you just scared that you're dodging this dude. It's better to just debate him, let him get his ideas out, and it's over with. It's not a forbidden fruit no more. It's not something that's like sacred, or people think they're going to investigate it and they're based because they like the content and stuff. I think they should have been. He's too big to not address. So that's why he's on Piers Morgan, all this stuff.
Like, isn't there was a part of the interview where you were very combative and you said you haven't even been laid and you're a virgin. This guy's a Roman Catholic.
Right.
Isn't he supposed to be a virgin until he's married? Isn't that part of your guys' faith?
To be fair to him, that is. I was brought up a Catholic. I'm not a particularly devout Catholic. I disagree with a lot of the church's
But you
teachings.
do agree that Catholics are supposed to remain chaste until marriage, right?
The strict interpretation from the Catholic Church about that is you should be.
So how come he didn't get? Shouldn't he get credit for that?
Well, he couldn't.
The idea that he's kind of staying within the confines of his religious beliefs.
I have no problem, but he also
or he can't get any action.
But he also self-identifies as an incel, which is more problematic.
Here's what Mark just said. You see what I mean? Like, he can't get any action. The guy is rich as shit, and he's a good-looking guy. He could get action if he wanted it, Mark.
Teasing.
And by the way, hang on,
Andrew.
Hang on, Mark.
I agree with you, Andrew. I'm just teasing.
Just let me finish the point.
I agree with you. I'm just teasing.
What I'm saying to you, though, is that, yeah, of course he could. The thing is, though, is that if you guys are saying like he's a huckster, he's a fraud, isn't he in fact following rigorously his faith by doing that?
Well, so my response to that,
but I think it's not what he said in the interview.
Hang on, Harry. I think it's
yes, it is what he said in the interview.
I want to respond to Andrew.
No, it's not.
I think it's a perfectly valid question. Particularly as I have always said, I'm a Catholic. I was raised a Catholic. I had spiritual guidance from Catholic nuns when I was 12 years old. I go to church occasionally. I'm not devout. I'm not there all the time. I don't agree with some of the Catholic Church's views and policies, and I wish they would evolve faster. However, as speaking Catholic to Catholic with him, yes, it's a perfectly valid thing that he could say, I am saving myself for marriage. But if that's all he said, fine. But I would argue that, if you look at him as a Christian, for example, how many of his other views are compatible with being a Christian?
So Piers went back to doing panels, and bro, he's going to be talking about Nick for such a long time afterwards. I know if you guys actually went on, like I said, Twitter is where it's at, bro. He was just crashing out nonstop, even after the debate. A lot of people were just in his comment section, and we learned some things about his relationship and about his wife and stuff. People are calling him a cuck, him an Adam 22 type dude. But I don't really care about like bashing him on that point. The main thing is I felt like it was really funny that he was crashing out, as you can see even on his Twitter. So he's like nonstop tweeting more than he's ever tweeted before. And right here too, I think this was a pretty hilarious tweet. Memo to memo to all the groypers. When you call me a boomer, I take it as a massive compliment. I literally use the word boom constantly on here to celebrate everything from Arsenal goals to England wickets. Like, it's so funny. It's just everything he's talking about is just having to block very angry, very triggered, very abusive groypers for poor basic manners. Do try to calm down. It's not my fault you guys did so badly in our interview. So yeah, the majority of his tweets are directed at Nick, and it's kind of funny to see him crash out. People calling him out for being a cuck and all kinds of things. So it was the biggest interview of the year, in my opinion, his biggest interview, and it already surpassed the most views as for live content on his channel, which was pretty crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to react to you real quick. I'm about to react some more. I'm following this. It's funny to see Piers and other people crash out over this interview, and I think people, like I said, we're just regular people. We're just going about our business. We have our own problems. I don't think it's worth just being emotional online and be like, yo, this guy's so hateful, and just trying to get emotional about it and just drill it everywhere. I think some clips are funny. I don't even think it's serious a lot of the times. And I think we just got to approach life, a lot of situations, that way. So we're just here for the content.